Start by looking at what's the matter with Kanto. Why Pokemon's first region has the least amount of biodiversity. Now, I understand that the reason that this happens is because Kanto was first, and they didn't know that they were going to need more than 150 Pokemon in the future. But now that that's established, let's look back at why that might be the way it is. Until, of course, Generation 2 and Generation 4 migrated other Pokemon into the Kanto region, or at least into neighboring areas. First thing we might want to notice about the Kanto region. It's right next to the Johto region. There are more Pokemon in Johto. There's the same governing authorities for Pokemon in Johto. The Johto Dex actually has all the Kanto Pokemon in it, and yet there are, again, 100 more Pokemon in Johto than there are in Kanto. So we need to look at why this might be. Another thing we need to notice is that Professor Oak, who's considered to be the greatest Pokemon expert, lives in Kanto. Yet, why would you choose to live in the region that has the fewest Pokemon that have been discovered? You know, that seems like it doesn't seem to make any sense for Professor Oak to do. Well, one of the first things we can notice about Kanto is that there are no baby Pokemon in the Kanto Dex. Okay, now they're all in the Johto Dex. All right, so things like Pichu and Tyrogue do exist, but they're never found in Kanto. So what would be the reason that these Pokemon would not be found east of the Silver Mountains? Well, one thing we could look at would be a migration pattern. It could be that Pokemon are migrating between the two regions, and they're having their children in Johto, and then and when they're adults, some of them are moving into Kanto. And we'll see if Kanto is a more difficult place to live or not. The other problem Kanto has, or that you would notice, is that Kanto has no happiness evolutions. Okay, so not only do we not have the babies, we also don't have the fully evolved forms of certain things, like Espeon, Umbreon, Crobat. So what's going on with Kanto here? Well, the answer in a word is stress. Kanto is based off of real-life Tokyo and its surrounds, and this is a very hard-working area where people deal with lots of stress and work all the time. Now, in the fictional Kanto, the stress of the people would therefore be transferred to their Pokemon. And so Eevees would stay the same, Golbats and Chanseys. None of these would ever get the happiness quotient from their trainers enough to move them up. Another problem? No night evolutions in Kanto. Well, why not? Well, Kanto, again, is a very technological, very busy place. It has lots of artificial light all the time. Dark Pokemon can't really inhabit there because there's no darkness for them to handle in Kanto. And so as a result, you don't have a lot of diversity in Kanto. Kanto's got one line of dragons. They have less bugs than Johto does. They didn't even realize that some of their Pokemon had alternative types. Okay, Magnemite being a steel type, they didn't know that. Clefairy, Jigglypuff, and others being fairies, they didn't know that. And if you're looking for big Pokemon in Kanto, you're really having to go to the Safari Zone. And the reason for this is there are just so many cities in Kanto. Okay, most of the forests are cut down. This is especially seen in the break between generations 1 and 2. So what Pokemon do you find? You find very hardy, very small Pokemon are the most numerous. Pidgey, Rattata, Beedrill. These are things that can survive. Dratini, however, you need to go find in the Safari Zone. And you'll also note that there's a fair number of fairies compared to the number of dragons. Kanto is also technologically most important in the Pokemon universe. This is where Ditto was potentially created. Mewtwo was created. This is where fossils get brought back to life for the first time. And that's the reason that Professor Oak works here. Not because Kanto is such a wonderful environment for Pokemon, but because it's so connected to the outside world. So in conclusion, Kanto is limited to 150 kinds of Pokemon because they're probably migrating to raise their children in a less stressful environment, and the urban environment of Kanto limits their abilities to have large numbers of Pokemon.